Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the Romantic Piano Concerto in Hyperion's big box of romantic piano concertos, the first 50 volumes. And here we're dealing with all the works for piano and orchestra by Ignaz Brüll. Now, Brüll was actually a Czech composer. He was born in 1846 and died in 1907. So he was around for a very interesting period of the late Romantic era. He was a very, very close friend of Brahms, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But he was born in the Czech town of Prostějov, which in those days was also called Prostnitz, if you were a German speaker. Prostějov had a thriving Jewish community, and Brüll was a member of that community. His father was a wealthy merchant, and he came from a family that encouraged, music and culture and study of the arts and whatnot, and he was quite the prodigy. The Prostějov Old Jewish Cemetery is an interesting sort of historical landmark in which I've been involved in the rehabilitation of that cemetery, the ongoing attempt at rehabilitation of that cemetery, because during the Second World War, the Nazis desecrated the cemetery and took all of the gravestones out of it and used them for paving stones and other stuff. And it's very sad to see in people's houses, that their backyards use the paving stones as paving stones, the gravestones from the old Prostějov cemetery. It's located in Studentska Street, near the major high school. And basically after the war, it was turned into a public park. It's often used as a dog park, which is, a more desecrating type thing. It would be hard to imagine. And the process to rehabilitate the cemetery has been extremely fraught with, local politics and the region versus the town. And, it's all the usual mishigas, as we say in Yiddish. But one of the most famous people buried there is Rabbi Tzvi Horowitz, who is, of course, a namesake. So I'm interested, even though he doesn't spell his name correctly. But we forgive him. He was a major, major Talmudic scholar. And one of the things that we did as part of the rehabilitation of the Prostějov cemetery, or at least the recognition of it as the former Jewish cemetery, was to place a memorial gravestone back in the location where Rabbi Horowitz was buried. This was promptly desecrated and smashed, and after which time there was another one, a sturdier one, that was put in the same location, which thankfully still exists. And I don't think there have been any problems since then. But it was just such a powerful reminder to me of what happened to that community, and the fact that, since I see on my own channel that anti-Semitism is still very much with us everywhere, even in places supposedly friendly to their Jewish community. And the Prostějov Jewish community, it has an active organization which seeks to publicize and memorialize the very rich Jewish cultural life of this small town. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because it's something I happen to have personal knowledge of. Ignaz Brüll was born in Prostějov, but as a child, his parents moved their business and him to Vienna, where he studied at the Vienna Conservatory with Julius Epstein and all the famous Vienna Conservatory people. Rufinacha, remember him? Chandos recorded a couple of his rather dull and notey symphonies, and he studied with Rufinacha. But anyway, Brüll was a superb pianist and a musician of extremely high taste and culture, and he basically became the piano guy that Brahms turned to when he wanted to play piano for handworks and pieces like that. He always had Brüll on hand to do that. And he was more famous in his lifetime, probably, and in demand, probably, as a concert pianist. But he was a composer of real skill, conservative, very conservative, in the Mendelssohn, Schumann, German school, the first half of the 19th century, basically, the Leipzig school, those people. But his music is very well made. His first piano concerto was composed when he was only 15 years old, which says something, because it's a serious, serious piece. It's in F major, and it's lovely. I mean, it's really beautiful. It has distinctive melodic ideas. The piano writing is brilliant and confident. The actual style, like I said, is the conservative German style of the day. It's not original, but it's pretty good. The second concerto is even better. It's actually, I mean, it's a serious work, a half hour long. They're both in three well-proportioned movements. The first movement is a moderato, Allegro moderato in this case. I like it when they're faster. I really do, because I always worry that at the moderate tempo, these pieces will break down formally, but you don't have to worry about that with Brüll. He may not have been the most, exciting composer out there, but he knew how to structure a piece of music, and he did it with great confidence. So you don't have dead spots, and you don't have formally dysfunctional episodes in his first movements. They're only 13 minutes long in both concerti. And then between the two concerti, we have his Andante and Allegro, opus 88, which actually it's 16 minutes long. It's nearly concerto length, and it's beautiful. It's clearly the work of a mature master composer. It has really, I think, powerful and distinctive thematic elements. It's one of those short pieces that the 19th century is full of that never get performed because they're too short. And it's a pity. It really is. It would be very easy to take some other concert shtick for piano and orchestra, and this work, for example, and make a concerto-length program. But the problem is that you can't get conductors to learn the music or orchestras to program the music. Brüll is not going to bring in, heaping crowds of people to see him. He also wrote a symphony, which is very attractive. But here we have Martyn Roscoe, who is first class. He knows the music. Get Martyn Roscoe. Do some Ignaz Brüll for a change. It would really, I think, audiences would enjoy it. I really think they would. With the BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra under Martyn Brabbins, the redoubtable Martyn Brabbins, who always does a good job in unfamiliar repertoire, and the orchestra plays quite well. I really think that recordings like this are the things that really justify the whole Romantic Piano Concerto series, because you're just not going to hear the music elsewhere, and it's good music. Just plain good music. Does it have the most memorable tunes? I don't know. You can decide for yourself. But there are all kinds of reasons it doesn't get performed, not least the fact that, of course, his music was banned during the Nazi period because he was Jewish. He was most famous in his lifetime, by the way, for operas. And his second opera in particular, Das Goldene Herz, I think it was called Das Goldene Kreuz. Yeah, the Golden Cross. That's what it is. Das Goldene Kreuz. It's a Kreuz, not a Herz. It's a Kreuz. It's the Golden Cross. That's what it's called. There is no recording of it. It's a comedy, a Singspiel, that looks like it has a pretty entertaining plot. It's about a lady why go into it? It's humorous. It's one of those mixed up love affair things. But in any case, it would be nice to hear it because it established him as a major composer. I mean, it was really a piece that was in the front rank of German comic operas in its day in the 1860s and 70s or 70s and 80s, and there performed, really through the early 1900s up to the point of his death where, and then, of course, like I said, his music was banned by the Nazis, and so it disappeared from the German stage, and hence from all the other stages where it might have been otherwise performed. So here's a guy who wrote a lot of music that is worth discovering, and I think these piano concertos make an excellent calling card if you're interested in. He wasn't a major voice, but he was well, in the Oscars, they give you awards for Best Supporting Actor, right? He was a Best Supporting Actor as a composer. Respected, admired, cherished even, and he deserves to be again for who he was. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.